Welcome back to my channel at The Movie Optimist, where I try and find the silver linings in even the worst of films. It was just announced by Dan Trachtenberg, I believe his name is, the guy that did the Prey movie on Hulu and then the Predator animated movie that was just on Hulu as well. He's also doing the new Predator movie, Predator Badlands, where it's like taking place on the Predator planet, which is super exciting. He just announced that he's bringing back Arnold Schwarzenegger's Dutch and Donald Glover's character from Predator 2, which the name of the character in the movie is escaping me, but they are both coming back in a future installment. And I think that this is very exciting because I grew up in the 90s. I was born in 1992, and a lot of the movies I watched were the Macho Man Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, the Sylvester Stallone movies, the Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, the Steven Seagal movies, and I have a huge soft spot in my heart for all of those 80s action heroes, and Predator was such a pivotal franchise for me, and it helped me learn just how much I love watching movies, where I used to go to the library every single week with my grandma and rent Predator, Commando, Batman 1989, Batman Returns, and the first Jurassic Park over and over, and I would watch them constantly because back in the 80s, a lot of the movies were these like cop detective action adventures, and then you have something like Predator that comes along that could have easily just fallen into the category of straight up horror, where it's a bunch of people getting hunted by this alien, but they infused it with that 80s action hero, and it was just Arnold battling this alien, and it was so larger than life and unlike anything I've ever seen before, and I kept watching it over and over because I loved it so much. And that movie has such an imprint on me and why I am a movie fan and why I'm sitting here talking to a camera to all of you guys right now. And a lot of people don't like the second Predator movie, but I thought that that movie was fantastic, and it was anchored by an incredible performance by Danny Glover, and I would have never thought in 2025 that either of those men would be reprising their roles in a Predator movie, but here we are teasing that we're going to get them in a movie. Now, I don't know if it's going to be animated. I'm leaning towards thinking it probably is, because the way they're setting it up is they added additional footage in the last Predator animated movie that was just on Hulu. So if you go back and watch now, right at the very end where they pan to the girl from Prey being in that cryo tube, in the original cut it would just end and go to credits, but now it pans a little bit further and you see Arnold's character in a cryo chamber and Danny Glover's character in a cryo chamber. So on one hand you could look at it and say, all right, well, it has to be animated because in those cryo chambers are the young versions of Arnold and Danny Glover, and for those of you who don't know, they're all like 70 years old now, so that's just impossible. But I think as much as I would love the animated film, having them come back and at least voice their characters and see this like Avengers type team up movie where Arnold, Danny Glover, Rachel Midthunder all team up to take on a Predator, that would be really cool in animated form. What I personally would like to see is maybe they get out of that cryo chamber and then it takes place like 50 years in the future where Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny Glover are old men, and maybe they're like leading a task force of people that are Predator hunters, and maybe Arnold's not as involved in the action, and maybe Danny Glover isn't as involved in the action, but they're leading a team of younger people that'll do it. Because as much as I love animation, I fell in love with this franchise in live action, and that's kind of how I want to see these iconic characters come back. They're old now, I get it, they can't be the badasses they were, but they could be badasses in their own right at their age, not having to pick up a Gatling gun and fire it, but leading a battalion of people to take on these monsters. Maybe they even team up with the Predators to take on the alien, because it kind of seems like that's the direction this franchise is going. They keep teasing that aliens exist in this world. So I would imagine Dan Trachtenberg is trying to build to a true Alien versus Predator that's actually good, unlike the Paul W.S. Anderson films that he did way back in the day. I just really want to see this in live action. But either way, even if it's an animated film and they're just voicing their younger selves, I'll still be happy. I'm still excited to see this hero that I grew up and probably watched more than 1,000 times come back to this franchise that has imprinted itself on my brain. But what do you guys think? Are you excited to see them come back? What direction do you want to see them go in? Do you want to see them voice their younger selves and be badasses on screen in animation? Or do you want to see a more grounded, older version of them, like leading a battalion or using their smarts to help younger people take on these creatures? What say you? Let's talk about it in the comments down below. And as always, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll catch you next time.